Episode of the From Her View podcast with myself, Sade Camille. I'm having a little technical difficulties going on. Okay, so, child, I've just been having technical difficulties just trying to get this little episode out. So I was like, oh, cool. Like, we'll just go live on YouTube. Why not? Why not? Just do it, right? Like Nike. But anyways, this is another episode of the From Her View podcast with myself, Sade Camille. Long time, no see. Why? Because life been life. I had stuff to do. I had stuff that I shouldn't have no business doing. Distracted. You know what I'm saying? Things of that nature. But um, I decided, like, hey, I should probably be recording an episode, as a birthday gift to all of you from me because my birthday is this week. But I still know that I have an audio banger series that is much awaited, much due, and that will be the review of The Let Them Theory by Mel Robbins. So, I've said it before, I'll say it again. I really love this book. It's really a good book. And I don't know if Mel is a believer of the Most High, but if she isn't, don't matter. God still got the glory. You're still doing the Lord's work because this is a great book. And I love it. And I find myself saying, let them often before I have a crash out. I'll be like, oh, just let them, you know what I mean? And it does help me kind of refocus myself and understand that there's a lot of things that I can change. There's a lot of things that I can do, but there's also a lot of things that I cannot do. And there's a lot of things that I cannot change. And ultimately, God is in control. But I love this book because you first hear the title and it's called Let Them. And then you go into the book and a lot of the things are being discussed is almost like them, pointing the finger at other people like them, and yeah, and them. But then once you think that you're done, and she's like, yeah, them this, them that. And then you get to a point where you're like, oh, okay, I guess this book is almost over. No, no, it's a let you. There's a let you part two. So I like that scope of we can't always shift blame. And I am a huge proponent of making sure that I take accountability for my actions. If it's something that I didn't do, did do, um, just taking full ownership of it, because that's just who I am. I just want to take ownership for anything that I did, whether it be good, bad, or indifferent. I am quite strange because I don't need the applause of other people to make me feel justified in any way, form, or fashion. And it kind of turns people off when I say that, and I'm like, yeah, you don't have to tell me that. I'm in full knowing of my status, right? And it's just because I have a great sense of self-awareness, but not even self-awareness. It's also a good connection with Holy Spirit, a great connection with God. I'm connected and I am being regulated by my spirit of discernment, and Holy Spirit let me know like, hey, you're out of pocket for that. Chill, 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 calm down. You're doing the most. You're doing the most. And I like this book because it's a lot of that self-regulating and self-awareness going on. And I think that's an area that strays away from a lot of us when it comes specifically to how we view the world in general. I've had conversations with people where they're up in arms by the way that I chose to handle a situation and not taking accountability for themselves, for their actions, for their lack thereof of actions. And where does that leave myself? And it comes to a point where you have to move differently in order to get different results. And so I'm in that point in my life where I move differently to get different results. The things I was doing, the Sade way of doing things, was yielding me nothing of benefit. It was yielding me no good things. It was giving me tears and turmoil. And I'm not gonna say that I don't get no little tears and turmoils with my Lord, but I also get the comforter that lets me know, like, yes, this may be forming around you, this situation might be popping up, this, that, and the third, but you are safe, you are well taken care of. So the whole point of the From Her View podcast is that it's not only a love letter to my children, but it's a love letter to the children that are living inside of us. There's so many deficits of information and things that we just didn't get, but we are fully responsible into making sure that we receive those things. And a lot of it stems from the renewing of our mind with Christ. So the full rewiring of the synapses of our brains with Christ in mind, that's going to be the ultimate help in overloading or unloading a lot of the things that plague us in our everyday life. And one of the things that I like about this book, and I said that it's probably like my number two favorite audiobook. I absolutely love it when the author is the reader of the book, because the production is just done in a different way. It's very different when there's a professional just reading the story. Um, there's just a different spirit behind a person telling their story. And in the space of, yes, it's a recording, but they are still libbing because there's still parts of their story that it's not in the written form, but they can also elaborate on. And then when they're reading it, they have a different sort of expression. So I like it because it's like having a conversation with a person, right? Um, will there ever be a point in my lifetime where I would sit down and be able to talk with Mel Robbins? Only God knows. But I do have this audiobook, her intellectual property, that I do have access to at any point in time that helps me not only see her resilience, okay, but also lets you see her flaws. And I like that because a lot of people want to get on social media and they want to share their highlight reels. They don't want to share the L's. They don't want to share the failures. They don't want to share the opportunities that they missed or that passed them by or anything like that. And I've always kind of been a proponent of sharing the good, the bad, and the ugly because a lot of people, even to this day, mind you, I was literally having a conversation with somebody and they were like, "Oh, I don't think you've experienced any sort of hardship or any sort of um, hard times in your life." And I was like, "Oh, okay, cool." I mean, for you guys, bits and pieces of my story, and as time goes on, I do try to share more of it because I do think that it's important for people to see the humanity in a person and see excerpts from my past and be able to have a present conversation, a present encounter with me, and realize that I started from here and now I'm here. And I'm going to tell you along the way what transpired for me to get to this point. And everything is not linear. Some of it is very much up, down, 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 uh, 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 up. It's not very, straight and narrow. It's it's a narrow path, but it ain't a straight and narrow path. And so I like books like these because it helps you not only see a person at the success level that they're at, right? because you can Google Mel Robbins and see her at the success level that she is right now, and you're just like, "Oh, wow, she's a great public motivational speaker. She has, a podcast, she has, these many followers. It costs this much for her bookings and this, that, and the third." But then you see the pinnacle, you don't see the pillars that's holding that up. You don't see the foundation. And so it's very important for us not to get so consumed with this instant day and age of instant gratification and know that certain things take time. That you can have the recipe and the sauce won't taste the same, right? You can have the recipe, the sauce won't taste the same because everything happens in God's timing, but also there's a lot of things that over time you develop. And for myself, especially being a parent of a girl, obviously I have a son as well. And, conversations are similar, but they're different, if that makes sense. Just because they're different people, different personalities, but also they're the opposite sex. So it's very different. But just, this past couple of months, just it being me and my daughter and just having a lot of time with her and which it's a whole nother thing I'm going to get into, but just a lot of conversations that we've been having, a lot of just random shows we've been watching together, and me just being able to pour out the wisdom and her understanding it and heeding it and seeing it play out for another person and being like, hey, yo, it sucks that they didn't have, a mom like my mom telling me and putting me on game, and that's how it should be. So that's why the renewing of our minds is important and it's also dangerous, right? It's dangerous for the enemy because once we become fully aware, fully understanding of these preset things that are set up to come into our life to infiltrate, to knock us off our path, to, make us rethink a lot of the things that God has said to us, we are now in a place